All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started, and then people can trickle in as they can. So thank you for joining us on the monthly ramp up presented to you by Franchise Ramp. My name is Brannigan, and I'm a franchisee success manager here at Franchise Ramp. I'm super excited for the latest edition of this webinar series that includes a mix of in the trenches knowledge and high level strategy, along with featured interview with franchisee. Today we have Cycle Bar, Southwest Plaza, Louisville, and Lone Tree franchisee Dale Vinke, and I have the pleasure of interviewing him later. We are going to start today with the Director of Paid Traffic, Jake Hodges. He's going to cover the important differences between organic versus paid versus Google My Business and what that means for your business. So again, thank you so much for attending. The monthly ramp-up goal is to give you a coherent picture of what's happening at the intersection of marketing and franchising. We want this to be a tight-knit community for franchisees to share knowledge and gain insight. Our mission at Franchise Ramp is to help franchisees realize their entrepreneurial dreams. It's my least favorite word. We were tired of working with digital marketing agencies who didn't understand franchising or sales just in general. So we took matters into our own hands, became Facebook experts, and added other digital marketing experts to our team. We are the new standard in franchise digital marketing to help clients obtain more quantity and higher quality leads. So now we are going to pass our time over to Jake.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining today. Super excited to share this information. Today we're going to be discussing everything Google. So from the organic side to the paid side, Google My Business. So we'll go through each one of those topics, just talk about what it is, kind of keep it on the surface. We don't dive too deep into the details, but then at the end, we'll talk about the changes that you can make right now to your marketing strategy to help your business out. As we go, we will definitely write down any questions that you have. We will have a Q&A session at the end. So definitely happy to answer any questions that you might have. So first, we will talk about organic search. What is it? So organic search results are the unpaid results that appear on a search engine result page after a query. So if someone types something into Google, you can see what it looks like here on the right-hand side. The results display there. Those are all organic. Right now, 51% of all website traffic comes from organic search results, and over 40% of revenue is captured by this organic traffic. These results are typically generated based on search engine optimization. So everything that you see listed out here and where your website ranks on Google search result page all comes down to SEO. So what is SEO? There's a bunch of different parts to it, and it is a lot of people's and entire agency's full-time job to work on SEO. So we'll just talk about some of the factors that are important. Number one is accessibility. So when search engines are indexing and providing the results, they crawl every single website that's published out there. So number one thing, you want to make sure that the search engines can do that. If you have a website, it's pretty typical, they can do it without a problem. Second from there is content. It's the second most important. So we always want to have compelling content on websites that answers the searcher's question that they're asking or the query they're typing into search. Next from there is keyword optimization. We'll get into keywords a little bit later. But basically the content on the website is tagged with different phrases, different terms that would relate to what someone is searching on the website. We also want to make sure that the user experience is phenomenal. The better experience that someone has on the website, the more likely they are to return to it. And Google is going to rank that as a plus sign. These are all different factors they go through when they determine where the page should be ranked. So user experience is a pretty big one. Also share-worthy content. So anytime that a user takes a URL and shares that on social media, the social media platforms come back and say, or even on email, they'll say, hey, this is where this traffic came from. So if the website's being shared, that's definitely a contributing factor to SEO. Also, we have the title, URL, and description that draw the click-through rate. So on the right-hand side, you can see the title, which is the blue text, the description, which is the gray text below. Those things are also important. The information that is displayed directly to someone when they type something in. There's also the schema, which is basically the back-end map of the website, just on the navigation side. Google wants to present websites that are easy for users to navigate, and they do that by looking at basically a roadmap of the website. So the difference between paid and organic. So what is paid search? When you type something in Google, you're presented with a list of those search results that we looked at. The paid search results have a little ad symbol right here that you can see right at the top of the StretchLab search result right there at the top. It says ad next to the URL in the paid section. So that is a paid ad versus an organic result just there below. You can tell which is an ad and which is not because it says ad. Over time, Google has made it less obvious which results are ads and which ones are not. The latest version of this is just that little bold ad at the top there. Blends in pretty well. So how does paid search help? Well, there's a few different ways that it can. So just like Facebook and Instagram ads, Google Ads is all about making sure that you're advertising to the right people at the right time. Being in the top 5 search results for a certain query, make your page much more likely to be clicked on. You can easily track the return on investment with paid search as well, just like you can on Facebook. It's also likely that you are competing with different brands that may be advertising above your organic search results. So as an example, on the right-hand side, the paid versus organic, the paid ad up top may be for a different brand, not necessarily StretchLab, but then there's a StretchLab organic result below that. Other brands do compete and they will bid on different brand terms like Pure Barre, StretchLab, Club Pilates to try to put their ads above the organic content. So using Google Ads can help you protect the top of page placement that you have. So we'll talk about the different type of campaigns that you might typically run for your studio. The first one is search, then we have display and video. Search is the main one. Those are the results you see on the right-hand side. These are direct links to pages where people can find out more information about the business or directly book an offer. There's also display ads, which act more, and video ads, which act as more brand awareness. So if we're building out a larger funnel for a larger account, we could run ads on YouTube, ads on different sites that use Google Ads to make money. So they'll put like a little placement. I'm sure you've seen it inside of all the articles and stuff, the banner ads that pop up. That's all for the most part through Google Ads. And then what are keywords? So keywords are different search terms that users type in to find the page. We will go through the different type of keywords, but for the most part, we try to stick with generic keywords, not generic like a gym, right? But we want to say Cycle Bar near me, StretchLab near me, something like that, versus just saying StretchLab as a whole. That way, we are capitalizing on more volume versus if you're already number 1 on the organic placement, there's not necessarily a need all the time unless there's competition for you to bid on the own branded keywords. Corporate teams usually help out with that as well. So another part of the search results that you might see when you type in your studio is the Google My Business on the right-hand side. Google My Business is a easy to use tool for businesses to manage their online presence across Google, including search and maps as well. To help customers find your business, tell your story, you can verify your profile and you can edit the business information on the right-hand side. It's always important to keep this updated. We'll talk about the steps you can take to do that. But we also have a full ramp up presentation on just Google My Business alone. Definitely check that out if you're already working with us. It is in the website's resource center. Very, very helpful tool. So how does, we talked about the organic side, how that helps, the paid side, how that helps, and Google My Business. So it allows you to respond to reviews, post photos that show off what you do. If you add photos, you usually receive 42% more requests for directions to your studio. Keeping those photos updated is definitely important as well. If you log into Google My Business, you can see the thousands and thousands and thousands of people that look at the photos of the business. It's pretty wild. It's 10,000, 20,000 views per month, which is sometimes even more than search traffic. So people definitely check out photos before they visit the business. And then also having photos on the right-hand side here results in 35 more clicks to your business, to the website on the right-hand side. Inside of Google My Business, you can find different insights and learn how your customers search for your business and where they come from. You can also find information like how many people call your business directly from the phone number that's displayed, and how many direction requests come through as well. One mix-up that commonly happens is the Google My Business and Google Ads. So inside of Google My Business, you are able to create something called a smart campaign. This is a campaign run through Google Ads, which heavily leans on Google's algorithms to decide which users to display to and how to display that information. Advertisers that use smart campaigns have pretty limited control, and most of the advertising work is done for them. Google search campaigns, on the other hand, require much more work on the part of the advertiser. There's an upside, which means we can potentially save your ad spend and get a higher return on investment, and also learn more about the target audience. So it provides a lot more insight and typically much better results as well to do Google Ads versus the smart campaigns inside of Google My Business. So we'll talk about a little bit about the current Google advertising landscape. Right now, as marketers, it's important that we stay up to date on what's going on Google, so we can provide you updates with the most current and beneficial placements and all of the changes that are happening, and respond to those as they occur. So right now, we'll talk about conversion rates. I spoke with our success team, and a lot of the feedback that I heard in the messaging that we're receiving from studios, it's that the conversion rate on Google is typically much higher than it is on Facebook. Typically, this is because, if someone is searching for your business, they already kind of have an idea of what it is, or they've interacted with the brand on a different platform before. We've heard tales of studios who have like a 2% conversion rate on Facebook, and they switch over to Google and they have almost a 30 to 40% conversion rate, which is pretty wild. But the people that are searching for the business already know about it. They're going there with intent to learn more about the business, or to already sign up for a free class, likely because they've seen it somewhere else, right? This year, there's also a heavier focus on return on ad spend versus clicks. As the digital marketing environment continues to grow, more and more agencies, more and more individuals are becoming familiar with PPC ads, pay-per-click ads like Google Ads. In recent years, it's all about keeping the cost as low as possible. And it makes sense. So it goes without saying that the less cost to acquire customers, the better. And 2022 has been definitely the year where businesses are less concerned with attracting more clicks and then hoping the conversion happens on the landing page. And agencies and marketers are focusing heavily on the direct return on ad spend, which is the actions taken after someone clicks on an ad. There's enough data, talent, and experience out there today, so there's no real need to spend just focusing on clicks. We're all about the return on ad spend, especially with the higher conversion rates. Targeting privacy. So right now, privacy is one of the hottest topics in marketing and really all of online. Businesses are increasingly concerned about cybersecurity, while individuals are coming around to the idea that their personal information does indeed have value, and they're willing to take steps to protect it. We're also scheduled in the next couple of years to see cookies disabled. So that's all the tracking cookies, as individuals get closer to the control over their data and the privacy that they want. As a result, the data down the road is likely to change. Currently, the marketing industry relies on a lot of the targeting, a lot of the information we gather from customers when they click on ads. Over the next few years, that is definitely likely to change. Of course, there's many other ways to target an audience besides information that's collected through Google Ads, often with a user's permission. But targeting techniques that may have worked before will not continue as a position of strength, maybe later this year, the year after. Depends when cookies get removed, kind of like the iOS 14 update that happened on Facebook. Artificial intelligence. So on the AI side, you might have heard a lot about artificial intelligence lately. If you haven't, expect it to be one of the trending topics in marketing for many years to come. Most marketers agree that it's not yet time to expect AI to replace humans in just about any role. But when we face challenges in the marketing environment, AI is definitely a tool that we can use to overcome them, whether that's AI copywriting, AI creative making. Tons of new tools are coming out. We expect AI to be definitely a talked about conversation in upcoming years. YouTube and TV. So cord cutting is another kind of trend that's happening right now. A lot of people are canceling cable subscriptions and switching over to Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Disney Plus, stuff like that. You can't advertise on a lot of those platforms right now, but you can advertise on the second most visited website in the world. The number one is google.com. The second is youtube.com. So YouTube as a run through Google Ads, it's the second best. I guess it's really a different version to advertising like on Netflix or Amazon or Disney or something like that. So there's also been some recent updates to Google Ads. They now have, they're getting rid of how standard ads were done before. Typically in the past, you would just write out the ads. You write the headline, you write the description, you display what you want. Google is requiring users and new ads after June 30th is when it should end. We can no longer create just standard ads. Instead, Google is requiring that we use their algorithm to find out what is going to be working best. So we'll test out a bunch of different phrases with responsive search ads. Those are ads that we write all of the copy for us. We come up with a bunch of different headlines, a bunch of different descriptions. Google tests them all out for us and then applies the ones that are going to work best for return on ad spend and lead volume as well. On the right-hand side of the screen, there's also a new extension that is kind of leaning display. It's combining like banner ads with Google search ads, and that is an image extension. An extension would be like your phone number, any offers that you're currently running, your address. You can add all that information to Google Ads, and this new one is the image. Google reports that is definitely increasing click-through rate right now, and from a marketing standpoint, it visually differentiates your ad from the competitors that you might be advertising next to. So we'll talk now about measuring success. So the first one is ad results on Google. So focusing on cost per lead and lead volume, possibly higher or lower cost per lead compared to Facebook. It really depends on your market, the size of your audience, and the search volume that is coming through. That's why we look at the cost per acquisition and the conversion rate that's happening. So if conversion rate is 50% higher on Google, we could match a 50% higher cost per lead, and that would equal kind of what Facebook's running, right? So relying on the higher conversion rates means that cost per lead can be a little bit higher on Google and still provide the same results, if not better. Again, really depends on the market, on search volume. So measuring the success of your organic search results. Right now, all of the exponential brands have a microsite that is on the main website. So it would be like cyclebar.com/studio/ your studio name. This is really, really great for SEO. That means that anyone who visits any CycleBar page in the nation, they're all visiting the same URL, which means there's the same level of engagement, of clicks, of just search volume, of shares that are happening. That's all completed under the same URL. So it's a big benefit that everyone is using that same domain name to help with SEO. Also, another cool tool for measuring your search results, and a great place to start as well, is to log into Google My Business and look at the insights that they provide. I will share a few examples of that right here on the right hand side. So it lists out different ways that businesses search for your business, whether that's direct, like they directly type in your studio's name. If they discover you by typing in gyms near me, or branded and they search exactly CycleBar, StretchLab, something like that. Below that is a map of all the different direction requests. So whenever someone clicks on the, let me see if I can go back here and see the example. So on the Google My Business, if they click on the address, or on the mobile version, it says get directions, or click on the website on the phone there, Google My Business tracks all of that information and where it occurred from. So you can see a map of the different zip codes that users are requesting directions from. So if you log into Google My Business, you'll be able to see like the top surrounding zip codes where users physically were when they request directions to your business. You can also measure the amount of phone calls and the hours that they come through, search terms that are related to your business that they're typing in, that they then interact with your Google My Business page. Yeah, so tons of information in there. It's a great place to start for the organic search results. Now, if you dive into those details and you say, hey, this is great, I would love more information on this, or if you already know how to use Google My Business, there is a ton of free tools out there. When it comes to the SEO side and organic search, there is just a huge amount of volume of information out there. So my recommendation would be to start with, come up with some goals that you want to get. Like, I just want to know that I'm number one for this search term in my area, or gyms near me. I want to make sure I at least show up, set some goals like that. And then go and find, if Google My Business doesn't have the answer for you, find a free tool online that matches those goals. There's thousands of free tools out there that you can use to help you execute your plan, any goals you might have, and find deeper insights than what Google My Business provides. Excuse me. So now we'll talk about incorporating Google into your current marketing strategy. So Google My Business, 4 things that you can do probably before the weekend. It's Wednesday. Yeah, definitely do it before the weekend. Number 1, keep it updated with fresh pictures and videos. Storefront images do great, so make sure that you post relevant content. Just show off your business. Pretty easy to do. You just log in, click add photo, done. And then you can go back and see how many views it got later on. Number 2 is to ensure the information is accurate. So you want to make sure that your website matches, your phone number matches, your address, the hours of operation, that those are all up to date and they match what is on your website as well. That's something that Google looks at to see, hey, this person has information that matches on both. They're more legitimate, kind of verifies you a little bit more and gives you a higher search result ranking. Number 3 is responding to reviews. Even if it's a canned response, even if you have responses ready that you use on other platforms and you circle through a few different ones, it's really good to engage. Google says, hey, this business owner is interacting with people online through our platform. We value that. It provides a better user experience. And that's what Google's all about, right? They want people to keep using their platform. That's how they produce revenue. So the more that you can help them, essentially, the more they'll help you out on the search result placement. Number 4 is to check out the insights that you have for your local market. Really quick to do all these things. You can log in and post updates. You can even post offers if you're running something special on there with expiration dates and special links, everything like that. Lots of quick little tricks you can do that can maximize your Google My Business page. Next, we can incorporate Google into marketing by combining Facebook and Google ads. This is a very helpful tool, especially if you're already running Facebook ads. It's very, very supplemental. So thousands of Facebook and Instagram users see your ads every day, and they may not submit a lead. They may not engage with the ad, but they still become aware of the brand. So in a sense, the ad that is displayed, even though it's a lead ad, it's more brand awareness. People become familiar with it. So just because someone does not submit a lead immediately does not mean they're not made aware of you. The second attempt, or the second, maybe the first point of engagement for them would be Googling your business, Googling the brand that they saw on Facebook. People's attention spans, including mine, are very, very low when it comes to just flipping through the news feed and cycling through. But if I see something, I'll remember it for later on, and then I can look it up on Google. It's sometimes a lot easier and it gives me more information than what an ad would provide. So Facebook ads may be the first touch point, but if you're already running them, you can supplement that with Google. That way you are right there when they go to search for you. That's what marketing is about, right? Being in the right place at the right time for the right people. You can maximize your ad spend on Facebook by using Google ads as well. We can also set up retargeting, which is super helpful. So on Google ads, obviously someone goes to your website and then books a class, submits their lead there. On Facebook, what we can do is create a custom audience, and this is going to kind of help build out your marketing funnel a little bit more. So what we'll do is, if someone's running Google ads and says, hey, really seeing some success here, we've been running Google ads for a few months, we're getting lots of clicks, we can create a retargeting audience inside of Facebook. This might be a small percentage of the budget, might be on the campaign level and ad set level, but we can direct ad spend towards users who engage with the website or engage with the Google ad, but did not submit a lead. So same thing can be done on Google, retarget people that did not get all the way through the marketing funnel, but they're really, really close. Always worth allocating some ad spend there. And usually higher quality leads as well, the ones that come through. Awesome. All right. Well, if you have any questions, definitely type them in the chat for the Q&A session. If you want to get started with Google Ads with us, definitely reach out. If you're already partnered with us, you can reach out to your success manager, ask any questions that you might have. Always happy to provide more insight and evaluate your market before starting as well. And if you're not already working with us, just check out our website. It's leads. It's what we're all about, right? So just visit our website, fill out the lead form, and we'll be able to point you in the right direction. But Brandon, I'm going to pass the torch back to you, and excited to hear from Dale.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jake. Like I said, if you have any questions, just go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll get to them at the end. But Dale, I get to introduce you now. Super excited to have you. So Dale spent 30 years in sales, like 30 plus years in sales leadership in the medical device industry. He felt it was gratifying to be able to experience the life-changing effects for both patients and families. He realized early on that the majority of the patients required the devices and therapies as a result of poor lifestyle choices along long periods of time. He wanted to participate in a business that affected people on the front end of the health curve. And now here he is. He owns 3 CycleBars in the Denver area. Welcome, Dale. You're on mute. Dale, you're muted.
There we go. Yeah, of course, that's a good way to start. Yeah, thank you for having me, Brandon.
You are very welcome. So I know I gave like a little brief overview, but let's give a little bit more detail. So like, how long have you been in the franchising world? What was like your journey that made you pick CycleBar?
Sure. You did summarize pretty well my background. And as we got later in life and we were looking to do something a little different, and I say we because my partner is my wife, Lorette, and thank gosh, she's there. We were just looking for something that sort of inspired both of us. And she ran a personal training gym and was a trainer, and I've always been athletic. So we just started looking at different opportunities, and we did come across CycleBar, and it just very much resonated. So we started to dig in that direction. Just making visits, going to different studios, jumping into classes, and it just seemed right.
So you did a try it before you buy it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. That's so exciting. So now that you have 3 studios now,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you have had some unique challenges
Yes.
and then some others that people could maybe relate to. So like, what are like some of the challenges that you've had?
Sure. As everybody on this call and across the country have experienced, I mean, a pandemic in the health and wellness environment is catastrophic. I doubt if anybody on the line had a COVID contingency plan built into their business model. So we acquired our first CycleBar January of 2020, and within 4 or 5 weeks, the pandemic chatter was growing, and then about 2 months into our first studio, we ended up having to close the door. As all of us online, if you had your businesses around then, had to do as well. So you learn very quickly you've got to pivot, and pivoting isn't necessarily a strategic event. It's very tactical day to day. And you just realize, okay, you wake up in the morning and, CDC speaks and it's like, okay, change again. And you just got to kind of roll with it. Yeah. So we did get through that. Fortunately, that story, we ended up renting out our bikes, and really was impactful keeping our members, our community together, because we did virtual classes, and that was like a multi-day event that people were able to stay connected. And that's a big, important pillar of CycleBar, is that community aspect. And boy, I learned very quickly that was not a tagline. So it really helped us. I mean, those 2 years, we learned a lot. Would never want to go through it again, but you learn a lot in adversity, probably a hell of a lot more than you do otherwise. So, and then you just keep growing memberships. other adversity, we have another studio. It's in Louisville, Colorado. And literally the studio was ground zero. We did not, we were affected significantly by smoke damage, but the building still stood. We were closed for a period of time because of smoke damage. But again, that's something that is extremely unexpected. And again, you have to kind of examine the surroundings and really focus on, an end goal in mind, and knowing that community is so strong within CycleBar. That's the direction we headed. You guys were extremely instrumental, because that's really when we came on board with you all with the grand reopening in Louisville and just putting a plan together. And you mentioned CPLs early on. CPLs, well, in Colorado, from my understanding, what we're experiencing, CPLs tend to be higher. I think we're competing a lot with, just our surroundings, which are beautiful, but a lot of people do a lot of things in Colorado, plus just the sheer number of fitness facilities. So you really have to make sure it's not necessarily about low cost CPLs, and, don't let them shoot up, Brannigan, but it's what you do with them after. And because they're lesser numbers and the costs are higher, it's that much more imperative that you effectively work your leads. So that's really what we focused on, is really the sales process and making sure that we reach out to the leads in a very, very timely way, and just try to bring them in to ride and show them the experience.
Awesome. Yeah. I know you and I have talked about just kind of like the turnaround that you've done with like your staff, and like maybe that was risky in the beginning, but can you talk about like why you decided to take that risk? Like why reinvent like the staff, like the heart and the mind, and just kind of all of it?
For sure. It's interesting because I've thought a lot about that, and third time is a charm, but it's not, because certain things you should do right out of the gates. It's sort of like a lot of pain at the beginning, or it's like that slow chronic illness ongoing if you don't do it quickly. And we're sort of in a happy median. So the 3 studios that we have, they were all underperforming studios. And there's obviously reasons why it's underperforming. And, wisdom might tell you as a business owner, if you buy a studio that is hemorrhaging, you should probably clean house. We did acquire studios that had a membership. So it's always that balance of, there's relationship and attachments with your members. With some of the staff, it's finding out if they're willing to change. It's not an uncommon comment like to hear from staff when you first acquire a studio, well, we don't do things that way. And, you want to say, well, that's why it's hemorrhaging, and your owner couldn't wait for you to sign the agreement so they didn't have to deal with it anymore. So you just really highlight the good things that are happening, but it's imperative to lay out your vision and a plan and what expectations are, and then performance manage towards it.
And I know, like, I always want to say, like, what sets you apart as, like, why do you think, like, you're such a high performing franchisee? And I just want to say, from what I know about you, it's because you're super hands-on. Would you agree with that? I mean, when we talk and you're in your car, your whole car is like full of CycleBar stuff. Like,
my gosh, it's my, as my wife says, how do you live like this? It's my mobile office for 3 studios. I would agree with you. I know a lot of times franchisors sell this as it's a passive income business. I personally can't imagine running a business without being hands-on. Unless you have your ear to the ground and you see what is going on. In my mind, I would feel so uncomfortable to invest in an area that I haven't personally validated and experienced, and then ask for different data points from members, from employees, because I absolutely don't have all the answers. I can see more often than not what's not working, but to predict what will work, that's the challenge.
For sure. So my last question for you is if you could give some piece of advice to, well, I guess anybody interested in franchising or, you know, into Cycle Bar or just anything starting out, because I know you've said you've learned trial and error over 2 years.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
there's some like piece of advice.
Yeah. First and foremost, you have to have passion for the brand, the product that you're offering. I mean, if you're going into this just purely because it looks like a viable business opportunity, you've got to live with it day in, day out. And trust me, you live with it 24/7, especially with multiple studios. You don't check in and check out with a punch clock. It's there all the time. So that's first and foremost. But then just having a really solid sales and lead flow process, because you will spend a lot of money on marketing. Digital is just a piece of it. There's the grassroots efforts. It's how are you going to develop it further organically, and they all go hand in hand. And I know when we have good lead flow digitally and the CPLs are low, ironically, the organic is, firing just as well. So it seems to be very cyclical, and you have to keep all of the parts moving, and then making sure that your staff, you have a very solid process to work the leads and onboard your prospects to make them members.
Awesome. And I'll give your staff a plug. They're always very wonderful to work with. So
thank you. I appreciate it. Very engaged. And you brought up a good point too, because as owners, we have to delegate, and I still struggle with that. I think anybody who is really passionate about what they do, it's hard for them not to do it themselves, but you have to train and rely on other people. And in doing that, I try to bring them into things so they see all the parts and the pieces. I don't want to just work with you, Brannigan, and expect them to, work the leads appropriately. I want them on the front end so they see the campaigns that we're putting up and that they have a relationship with you. And I want to make them better business people.
That's awesome. That's really nice of you to care about their professional development. So.
Yeah.
All right. But that is all. Thank you so much, Dale.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks, Jake.
Of course. We'll hang on the line for a little while. If anybody has questions for Jake or Dale, they can just throw them in the chat. But if not, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming today. We can't wait to see you next time, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Definitely. Dale, thank you for attending. Brandy had a question. Will this webinar be emailed to us as well? Yes, we will send out this webinar as well as the full slide deck, so you'll have access to all the different images that we had there. Another thought real quick on the organic side and a lot of the grassroots. If you're already working with us and you host a grassroots event, something we can capitalize on the organic is super helpful if you create a Facebook event for anything that's going on at the studio. People that respond to the event, whether they're interested or going, we can retarget them. It's always a super helpful way to get some more leads. Cool. Awesome. Any questions we can answer for either myself or Dale? If not, we will wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions come through. All right, well, we will leave it at this, but if you guys do have questions, let us know. But thank you again so much, Dale, and thank you again, Jake.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.